Hi, welcome back to the monthly portfolio update. I hope you'll find the information in this video useful, but disclaimer, please note that this is not investing advice. It's just my portfolio as it stands on Sunday, October 1st, and it can change at any time without previous notification. Following an investment strategy without doing the work yourself is almost guaranteed to result in losses. So please be careful, since it's your responsibility to do your own research before investing. In the bonus section, we will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of index investing. But first things first, let's begin as usual with the latest portfolio update. This month, I continued my dollar cost averaging strategy for buying stocks and added to my BRD, MedLife and Meta Estate Trust positions in Romania, and continued adding a little bit to my crypto, Bitcoin and ETH positions, since I think, as mentioned in the last episode, that it is very likely to break on the upside in the future, meaning Q1 2024. There was also a change in my Prosus stake due to the share split this month, which caused the number of shares to increase from 300 to 654, and I also bought the difference to 700 since the CEO was replaced quite abruptly, which I see as good news since he wasn't willing or able to reduce the discount between share price and NAV. This means net asset value, and the buybacks continue after a short break caused by the split, so hopefully the new CEO will be able to reduce this discount. On the other hand, I did not sell anything this month because, in terms of cash flow, I received a very strong dividend from Fondul Proprietatea, which returned to its shareholders the Hidroelectrica IPO money. This, combined with an increase in both the Fondul Proprietatea share price and Hidroelectrica share price, was a nice addition this month. You can see the decision process in the July 1st video of how I approached the IPO based on mathematical returns of both stocks. The amounts so far are not big, but I'm happy that both are up in the green. I also got a very small S&P 500 third quarter dividend, which is nice in the context of today's bonus discussion about index investing. So, ending another relatively uneventful month, this is my portfolio as of October 1st, 2023. As a note, this last trading day, Friday, was my best single day so far since the capital injection from the massive Fondul Proprietatea dividend nudged my Romanian stocks up almost 5% in a day. This and last month's Transgaz position, which fell 3% in the last 15 minutes of the last day, makes this screenshot of my portfolio, while accurate, not really that relevant, since most likely next week we will see a slight correction due to the significant increase we experienced on Friday. Anyways, the main idea is to take the numbers, actually any number, with a grain of salt. Overall, we saw a rebound from last month where the actively managed portfolio decreased by 1% because of the cash payment, which is not part of the actively managed portfolio, replacing the corresponding drop in the Fondul Proprietatea shares due to the Hidroelectrica dividend. The overall portfolio paints a better picture and it's up by 5% year to date, plus of course my living expenses. The pyramid allocation portfolio this month looks like this. The asymmetric risk-reward section reached 2%, and the most significant increase was in value stocks and indexes, plus 1%, and the rearrangement of the other asset classes. Cash and equivalents are pretty comfortable at 20% of the assets. Before going to the bonus section, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps bringing this completely free information to more and more people. Thank you. Today, I wanted to discuss a very popular idea, that of index investing and, of course, its advantages and disadvantages. Firstly, let's define what we mean by index investing. Instead of buying particular stocks, we focus on buying a non-leveraged broader market index like the S&P 500, the MSCI World, etc., as opposed to a specific or niche index like commodity index, small market index or factor index, etc. Indexes are very popular and there are different kinds. Comparing a managed portfolio with a niche index doesn't really make sense. And let me explain why by introducing the concepts of alpha and beta with the help of one of the goats of investing, Ray Dalio, of now ex-Bridgewater Associates. I strongly recommend his principal book and as well as free videos he has on YouTube. First, alpha is the portion of the portfolio's return that cannot be attributed to market returns and is independent of them. For example, Ray Dalio's pure alpha portfolio, where he has 15 or more good uncorrelated return streams. This is the best performing portfolio of all time and is an active managed portfolio. As opposed to beta, where the returns can be attributed to the overall market returns. For example, also Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolio, where he has 7.5% in gold, 7.5% in other commodities, 30% in stocks, 15% in intermediate bonds, and 40% in long-term bonds. So, basically, with this portfolio, you don't need to be inspired to make moves at the appropriate time in the market. You just create it and then hold. At the end of the day, the question is, how comfortable are you that you can bring value to your portfolio and why? Can we generate alpha or added value or not? You can't really discuss index investing without mentioning the famous Warren Buffett bet. In 2008, Buffett issued the challenge to the hedge fund industry, which, in his views, charged exorbitant fees that the fund's performance couldn't really justify. Protege Partners accepted and the two parties placed a $1 million bet. The bet was that an S&P 500 index fund would outperform a hand-picked portfolio of hedge funds over 10 years or more. Buffett won by a long shot, but let's see, why exactly did he win? First, hedge funds have exorbitant management fees for the army of PHPs needs to eat as well and of course drive Lambos. The second one is overtrading because somehow they need to justify those fees. Hedge funds also need to provide stability for institutions, usually pension funds, but somehow the idea of high return got lost along the way. They also have large sums of money, which means there is a smaller pool of investments and cannot invest in small illiquid stocks with huge upside potential, which can be 10, 20, 100 baggers, meaning that the stock price can grow by 100 times. Also, they are forced most of the time to make short-term bets to show quarterly and yearly positive results, so they cannot really focus on long-term. And last but not least, some of the S&P 500 components have grown significantly, for example the FANGs, and somewhat unpredictably. This is the most important aspect in my opinion, the biggest advantage which investing in an index fund gives you. So the truth is not that passive investing is so good, but professional active investing is actually bad. So, should you invest in indexes? Well, the answer is probably yes, but let's see if we can mitigate some of the issues that cause hedge funds and professional money managers to underperform. First, fees. You don't need to pay management fees if you manage your own portfolio. Next, overtrading. There is no need to overtrade. You can always buy and hold assets for a long time. Stability is also not important for the individual investor. Volatility is not really a problem, except a psychological one, but if it doesn't trade on margin, the individual investor is relatively safe. Next, using small sums of money means you can get the small companies when they IPO and ride them to 10, 20, 100 bagger status. If you are forced to use large sums of money, please let me know and we can work something out. Wink, wink. Making long-term bets in domains that you know and understand and maybe have an edge over professional investors is actually very feasible for individual investors. The last one, the unpredictable big winners, can be obtained in other ways as well via diversification. We can talk a bit more about this a little bit later. These issues don't really apply to the individual investor. However, the individual investor has another set of issues. First and foremost, do we really want to invest individually? Do you have the time to do the research that is necessary? Can you understand why you bought an asset, and are you prepared psychologically to hold it even if it drops significantly, and maybe buy some more to dollar cost average at a lower price? Do you have the money to invest? Do you need money next week, next month, or you can look at a long-term horizon? The bad side of investing in indexes is also very rarely talked about. They are usually composed of big names which are liquid and easy to buy and sell, so very unlikely to go up 100x. And even if they do, they will be rebalanced by the index manager so that a single entry, like let's call it Tesla or Apple, is not 50% of the index. Next, there is no individual research of the stocks that compose the index. If a big company like Kodak or Xerox is slowly dying, you will still buy more of it when you buy the index. Next, if money is coming into the index, it is going to buy all underlying assets, no matter if they're objectively cheap or overvalued. It also might be a problem to get out in times of crisis, because to redeem a unit of the index, the manager needs to sell the underlying assets, all of them, including the less liquid ones, so there will be a bottleneck at some point if there are big problems in the market. And last but not least, people that recommend index funds don't really use it. For example, Buffett doesn't invest in index funds, and no billionaire got rich by investing only in indexes. In conclusion, there are many opinions about index investing. Legendary investor Peter Lynch of Fidelity believes that the individual investor is best equipped to beat the professionals with a set of tools. First, don't invest money you need in the short term. Then you need to understand the company and its product or services before investing. Hold a long-term view and go for 10 or 100 baggers, the asymmetric risk-reward part of the pyramid allocation strategy. Make sure you are psychologically prepared to stomach the doubters, because they will come. Balanced diversification is the key, because being over-diversified makes it harder to beat an index. And last but not least, have fun. This might sound stupid, but if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to make any money. I personally love indexes and have two as part of my pyramid allocation strategy: S&P 500, which is P5, and the Romanian index, the BET, which is TV BET ETF. They are lines 18 and 19 in the Excel, but I use it more as a safe value bet and to use it as a benchmark for my overall returns. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments about index investing, if I missed something, if you have another opinion. See you next month. Bye bye.